Hey everyone, Red here, or actually, Star here. I felt the need to bring up a few things that have happened. First off, happy 2021. May this year be good, hopefully. No more 2020, please, no more COVID. So I guess the first thing to establish is a new username. This channel is going to be going by Starchild. This changes nothing other than it's easier to search up. Starchild is the name of probably my newest OC, original character, for anyone who doesn't know. Starchild is just an original character that I made that I think is really cool. I just had a lot of fun drawing him, so I decided that that should be the new name of the channel. And in fact, I've not only created this OC, but I've in fact created my own drawing logo so that way I can prevent people from stealing my artwork as easily. Yeah, so that's one of the main changes here is just different channel name. We're going to be going by Starchild because that's way easier to search. YouTube won't try to autocorrect it as hard. And also I'll get less questions about what the hell an ancient is. So next off is some stuff that has happened since the last video. Things happening with the Tripteron. In fact, contact with the person who made the Tripteron. It wasn't anything that big, but it was kind of cool just to actually realize that my project got an acknowledgement from the person who made it. I thought that was awesome. But another thing is I got a new printer. It's a resin printer. Can make things much higher quality in my old than the Ender 3 I was using can. I'm going to be using both still. In fact, the Tripteron is going to be mostly printed by my FDM, the Ender 3, because the common printer people own is an FDM printer. In fact, the Ender 3 is one of the most common FDM printers to own. FDM means fused filament deposition. In simple terms, it is plastic feeds into a hot end melts the plastic out of a tube, and then the tube tries to push the plastic into a line. And it puts those lines on top of each other, next to each other, enough times until it makes a shape. Now, the resin printer I have is called the Orange 10. It is an SLA printer, an LCD SLA printer, meaning it uses a UV light to harden resin onto a build plate. It allows it to print, well, much smaller parts. It can print a lot of them quickly because it prints the entire layer at once, unlike the FDM printers, which print the layers line by line. This does it layer by layer. Yeah. I got my Ender 3 calibrated a little bit better. This is one of the beams that are going to be going on the Tripteron that came out really, really clean. Smooth top, smooth bottom, no stringing, very little wobble, no banding at all or anything like that. Pretty clean print. Little bit of tweaking needs to be done as I can only seem to print one of these at a time without the print failing catastrophically. So now comes the segment about the Tripteron. Important. So something I did with the Tripteron is I got most of the frame done. If I really felt like it, I could get the carriages going, add the wheels to them, re-drill the holes because the resin printer closed up the holes somehow. This does need a little bit of tweaking. Files to everything will be in the description probably sometime tomorrow. It's like 3 a.m. here, so I'm gonna make this, probably put the videos together and post it. If that. I might not even do that. Yeah. So I encountered a few issues with the design of these things. They suck. They suck a lot. They have horrible, horrible structural integrity. They're meant to hold V-slots without any sort of screws or anything like that. And they hold them, sure. but because of right here, it is so thin that they break off, and I have to re-glue them on a lot. Some of these have had to be glued on a plus of like 4 times. So I'm going to need to find another screwless method of fixing that. Because once again, the whole goal is to be entirely printed, or at least almost entirely printed. And not to look like it's something that I just cobbled together, because that's a big thing with RepRap, is it just looks cobbled. You know, wires are everywhere, you have stringing plastic and junk. You know, I wanted this to look clean. It's not going to look clean with a ton of super glue holding everything together. So I'm going to need to find some new screwless corners. Yes, they can have screws, but it makes things much more difficult. So I'm just going to have to go and try and track down some other method of holding these V-slots together. An idea I had is that they might be able to go in and try and fit into these sockets here. That's one idea I had. By the way, this is the beam that I was talking about in the last video of the Tripteron, where it has a hole and a little bit of shape so that way a wheel can go down it and you can have a screw go up it. This is a Core XY frame, meaning it's a cube basically. It is a cube. It'll be very sturdy, like once this thing is fully assembled. I don't think I'm going to have a lot more of these things breaking off, but because of the fact that that is a risk, I'm still going to replace them. These things are still going to be swapped out for another screwless option. Because once again, we can have screws, but it's very hard to 3D print screws, even with the resin printer. Actually, I haven't tested if it can print screws yet, but I don't want to test that right now, as I'm still kind of getting used to it. I did notice an issue with this thing here. This thing has started to become a little bit with wear and tear right here. This is actually cracked off and busted a few times. So that causes a lot of issues. It doesn't cause a lot of issues so long as I have that glued in place and I'm not too rough with that specific corner, and in fact as of right now it seems okay. But it did in fact show that a lot of these ball bearings don't actually work the way they're intended to. I don't know how it's still so quiet, but this is actually the screws sliding around the ball bearings. Another thing I feel the need to point out is a lot of these screws actually got busted inside. I can see these are supposed to be connected together, but yet somehow I can twist one of them without the other twisting, meaning that somewhere inside here they broke. But if I pull on them hard, they don't come out. So that means everything is still held together, and in fact the ball bearings are now just friction hinges. But they seem to be working just fine still, and I know for a fact that some of these do in fact have a newer ball bearing design in them, especially these outer ones. Like these ones have a newer ball bearing design that I found and actually are rolling normally. I in fact tried to do a little bit of ASA printing. It failed horribly because I don't think I had my belts lined up right. I also kind of mixed PETG and ASA a little bit by accident for the platform stuff. But yeah, other than that, I think that's really all I have to cover on the Tripteron. Is ball bearings are actually just friction hinges. Screws are breaking in half but holding it together. These corners need to be replaced, but overall the frame is actually getting done. And I still am very interested in this project. Other 3D printing news is I have a new printer. That's literally it. Other things for this channel include I got a new phone, so that means I'm going to do a teardown video on my old phone. I'll do a instruction video on some upgrades for the Ender 3, such as an SKR 1.4 for anyone who needs it, with direct drive mod, dual Z, TMC 2130 stepper motors, and the big Tree Tech Ender 3 TFT28, which I know a lot of this just sounds like gibberish, but this is a bunch of upgrades for a printer, to put it simply. These are a lot of actually fairly cheap upgrades, and later on when I feel like putting it on my printer, I will do a BL Touch video. But for now, that's about all. Look forward to music disassemblies and printer upgrades in the near future, as that's all I currently have planned. Maybe a little bit of gaming, but I'm going to wait a little bit to get back to that. Okay, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!